Talk about the playoff format. Jared, maybe you'll need some time at the cabin to decipher the 2023 MLS playoff format. Tell me
I
what
really
you know.
tried to be a good podcast host. I really do. And like I got I got all the information in front of me. I'm gonna see what this is all about, this playoff structure everyone's angry about. I made it about a paragraph in before I literally was falling asleep. I didn't finish it. I don't know. You're going to have to tell me what is it, because it was so boring and so stupid as I started reading it. I was like, okay, this league is moving to a point where it's hard to support it.
Well, I think look, I'm annoyed by the fact that 9 teams are going to get into the playoffs in each conference, because I don't like giving anybody a pass and the ability to say, well, it was a successful season for us. We're building towards next year because we made the playoffs, and that's just a stepping stone to where we want to be as an organization. I don't know why it sounds like this, but that's what they're going to say, right? And MLS has a history of coaches getting a pass, in particular Jared, because they made the playoffs. But it doesn't do anything if you go out in the first round, if you fall in what is now apparently a best of 3. Jared, you're the only one old enough around here to remember best of 3 series, right?
Yeah, we went away for it for a reason. It sucked. It was stupid. Like, why would you play 3 games? Like, I can't name another competition, football, soccer competition in the world where you play 3-game series. I can't think of it. There's home and home for a reason. People hate away goals for a reason.
Well, I think the idea, and again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate, or at least give some context to why this might have happened, even though I don't think it's the best idea.
I'll tell you why. Ching, ching, baby,
sure.
Ka-ching.
Apple
My money
TV
don't
wants some more
fold,
games.
don't jiggle, jiggle, it folds.
Yes, money, it doesn't jiggle, jiggle, it folds. Apple TV wants more games. They want to stretch out the playoff season because it went too fast before. Jared, it went too fast with the single elimination format.
I've had that problem. There are pills for it.
I have heard you talk about a little bit of...
You need to give us some playoff Cialis.
I have a premature playoff-ication. I don't know what that is.
Premature elimination.
Premature elimination. If your team has
that should have been our thumbnail. That should have been our thumbnail. Premature elimination.
See your doctor. MLS playoffs. 9 teams per conference. First round, wild card round or play-in round, or however you want to view it. 8 versus 9. The winner of that game, and by the way, the 8 seed will host the 9 seed in that game. The winner of that game goes into the first round. The first round
glazing over.
1 versus the lowest remaining seed, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. That's the 3-game series that all the teams will play.
I'll never get an erection again after this.
The higher seed will host the first game, the lower seed will host the second game, and the higher seed will host the third game if necessary. I love how we're like baseball and basketball now. It's got to be if necessary when we get to that point. No game can end in a draw, Jared. And here's the wrinkle on that. No extra time, straight to penalty kicks during the best of 3 series.
Give the people what they want. More penalty kicks. Give the people what they want. Now, if they truly thought that the playoffs were over too quickly and we wanted more soccer, you know how you give that to us? Overtime.
Yeah. Well, look, I do see the argument. Okay. In terms of player fitness, by the way, you can go back to, should you play a 3-game series? No, you should not play a 3-game series. But I guess if you are doing a 3-game series, running the players into the ground with 120 minutes in 3 different, you could have 120 minutes in penalties, 120 minutes in penalties, 120 minutes in penalties if you did it that way. You chose to play extra time. So I guess they're at least saving some wear and tear on the players in this round, Aaron, I guess.
Dude, I feel so bad for the players. Dude, have you seen like the teams that win? Do you see how many games they're going to play a season?
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot.
It's massive.
I have heard from
WNBC.
I heard from
WNBC.
Howard Stern.
I heard from Nico Estevez, directly brought it up, said the league needs to do better because I don't got enough players. I don't have enough guys to play all the games I'm supposed to play.
Yeah, how do you increase the number of games and not increase the salary cap?
FC Dallas isn't even in the CONCACAF Champions League, which is something that Philly and LAFC and a bunch of other clubs have to deal with. It's maddening on that front. It is absolutely maddening. And I went and yelled on the radio about how, look, we're fans of this league. Jared, you go back to 96, right? You're since 96. I've been watching this league for 20 years, and I think of it as my league. I don't have a team like you do that I live and die with, but I think of it as my league.
You're
I
dead
love
inside.
MLS. Yeah, right. I have no soul. but I watch the league every year. I paid for the first ever streaming platform, whatever that was called. MLS
did you pay this
Live
year?
Or whatever.
Did you pay this year?
Did not. I don't know if you know this. I have a radio show. I don't know if you're aware. And
I didn't pay this year either. I got a promo from my brother.
I know. I heard.
Actually, I paid, then I got refunded, and I used the promo. So.
Okay, but I've been watching this league. I've been watching its growth. I've been, I've been supportive, right? I had to on some level because I was covering the league. We started this podcast, all these things. It makes it really hard. It really does. It makes it hard to just.
But here's what's odd to me. So they just got this big Apple payout, right? That was the reason we went with this. It's the partner for the future. It's the best deal.
I mean,
whatever it was. I mean, it was that they've signed a big contract.
What if they got paid in like Apple dollars and they can only spend it at the store, at the Apple store? That's how MLS's deal worked with Apple.
So many styluses.
That's why they sent out so many devices. So I got an Apple TV box. Okay, I'm not going to say I didn't get anything. I noticed that some of these guys, I think they're the broadcasters. They give them iPhones. They give them like the latest iPhone to watch the games on them. Like,
it's a good gig if you can get it, I guess.
There you go.
But here's my thing. So they take a large payday with Apple. We can debate whether it's the right move, but one of the moves is like, hey, this is the money that was on the table. This is the thing going towards the future. Broadcast is getting outdated. This is the way that things are going to go. So you have this windfall. Where is it being invested? That's my question. Where is it being invested? Because if Apple required more games, how are you not giving the teams more money and larger rosters to accommodate all the games? And we're going to throw Leagues Cup in there as well.
Hold on. I do. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I agree. Obviously, Major League Soccer has already negotiated a CBA with the players that provides some of the framework on all of this, and I think that predates the Apple deal, right? So there's that. Now, obviously, MLS could come in and say, here, everybody has an extra $3 million in the budget to spend.
Sure.
They could do that. They could do that tomorrow if they wanted to. I think that, I don't know. They've changed things before. They've obviously didn't even decide on this playoff format until this week with the season starting on Saturday. So it's ridiculous for me to say, well, maybe they just wanted to finish out this season before they go in and throw that money back into the pot. And I'm sure that if you're talking about the business elements of this, Jared, you could argue, well, look, a lot of these teams they've bled money for years. There are investors like the Crafts and AEG that have
so
lost money.
we need to blow about a dozen hamstrings this season in players, and then next year we'll make the rosters right. I get it.
I do think it's ridiculous that they're going to put this much stress on the clubs with the notion that they can just and look. By the way,
this
MLS
is the way all world football is going. By the way, too, it's not just MLS.
MLS is not alone in this. Everybody is squeezing. Everybody's pushing players to their brink. We were just talking not that long ago about Belgium because we were talking about Thierry Henry and having a job with Belgium. Belgium, they made a mess in the bed at the World Cup, and part of the reason is because some of those guys, and particularly Kevin De Bruyne, who was very public about it, was like, "No, this sucks. I don't really want to be here. I'm tired. Like, you're killing us. What are you doing?"
I don't blame them. For the elite talent at the world level, there's just too much expectation on the bodies of these players, and the executives just say like, "Well, there's more money to be made if there's more games." Yeah, sure, but who's going to play them? Who's going to play them? And I don't know how the players' organizations, how they are structured and how they operate at the international level, like in Europe and stuff like that. But in the U.S., this is going to be an issue. They just signed a new CBA, so they have some time on this, but this has to be one of the bigger points when it comes back around again.
Yeah, the MLSPA is the players' representatives for bargaining with MLS. Obviously, in this country, we have laws that are in place that dictate how those negotiations go, right? The balance between labor and management and those kind of things. Canada has it too, because we just found out that the Canadian women's team couldn't strike without authorization. Otherwise, they could be sued individually by the Canadian Soccer Association. I think if you're talking about sort of across borders, there are, as far as I'm aware, I mean, like I know there's a players' association in England, right? The PFA or whatever. They give awards out every year, but I don't think they're bargaining anything. I don't think they got any
That doesn't
say.
seem like they're advocating for the players much. I mean, with the thing, and FIFA doesn't do them no favors by putting World Cups in the middle of the season, moving all these things around, adding more international club competitions, expanding the fields of World Cups.
Yeah.
It's just more and more and more. There's atrophy here somewhere.
It reminds me of Mr. Thiago. The kid is a thrower, and he's a banger.
Ooh,
You know,
discs?
he takes his toys and he is like
He throws
trying
discs
to
and bangs
destroy them.
chains.
No, he doesn't do any of those
He
things.
sounds
Those
like a
things aren't
natural
cool.
disc golfer to me.
No, not at all. Mr. Thiago will, destroy his toys if you let him. It seems like that's what's happening here, right? That the people in charge of leagues and clubs are taking the players and just like slamming them on
they're
the
doing
floor
what?
until they
Nick,
break.
make sure you cut up that visual for the
No,
socials,
don't do that.
please.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
we'll need
That's
that.
an unfortunate situation.
Hey.
All right, so obviously, regardless of
You
whatever
said they're taking
happens
care of them. I guess they are.
with
All right,
the-
so you
the
bored me before we even
relationship.
got to out of the first round. So
Oh, yeah,
please
that's
go on with the playoff structure
All right, so after the first round of best of three, then
with insta shootouts.
right, instant shootouts. We go back to single elimination, and we go back to extra time and penalty kicks if needed in the one
So
game.
we go
hosted by
single
the Hires.
elimination, best of 3, single elimination again.
Yes,
Flip,
that's
snip,
exactly
snap, snip, snap.
You've got it. You've figured it out. Now, there's also this wrinkle. I thought when I heard this that, or I had hoped, I guess MLS has never done this, but I had hoped we would reseed so that you would have, obviously, if the 8 seed beats the 9 seed to get into the first round, and somehow they beat the first seed, you're basically saying like you're not going to dictate so that the top seed always has the lowest seed in the next round.
No,
which
I think
you should do.
that's anti-MLS. I think one of the few things that made MLS actually fun and good was that how many years did the bottom seed win the cup?
Man, I hate that. I do. I hate it.
You hate it? But that's
hate it
like
now.
that's
Well,
the
I hate it for
that's
a
what
reason.
MLS is.
But I hate it for a reason, Jared. I hate it because it's the thing that means we don't have as much value in the regular season as we should. Right? And I know our man Mike Thomas, who I don't know if he's here tonight. I didn't see him in the chat. He was railing, like absolutely going nuts
Michael freaking Arasco Fiscal.
in the Bestie Slack about how he doesn't buy the idea that the regular season has no meaning, that there's still lots to play for, that obviously the higher seed has a huge advantage. And I think that's what I'm talking about. You want to make sure that the higher seed has a significant advantage.
But they've taken
because you
away
wanna
the bye now.
incentivize- What?
They've taken away the bye for the top seed now.
They've taken away a bye, but there's still.
But you don't
I
have to
think
do
there's-
the play-in game.
Well, no, you don't have to do the playing game, but there's still an advantage.
I still, and I'll die on this hill. In my opinion, the top seed should get the choice of hosting the first or second game when it was home and away. Now that it's three games, they actually will have an advantage because you'll get 2 home games for the higher seed. But when it was home and home, I was adamant
Yeah,
that
but why are
the
you talking
home
about something
team
that
should
doesn't
get,
exist anymore? Doesn't exist. Why are we talking about it?
Okay.
Who cares? It's an old thing. We don't do that anymore. We do this. We do best of 3. I will say that the other thing that works in the favor of best of 3, if there is anything good about it, is that in that sense, because it's not just the 2 home games for the higher seed, but just the over 3 games, the better team is most of the time going to come out on top, right? The sort of a
Yeah.
It means that upsets are much less likely because you can't just do it once. You've got to do it twice.
or at least the team with a better keeper. Because let's be
Sure.
honest, 2 or 3 of
If
the
you
games
get
will probably go to
hot.
shootouts.
You get hot. Yeah, and I do wonder about the tactical approach depending on how these things line up. How bunkery do teams get? How cagey are games? If you know you have 2 more games afterwards, do you just throw everything up against the wall in the first game and say go for it to try to get that victory? I mean, obviously, aggregate scoreline means absolutely nothing now. So, hey, let's play for 1-0 is also probably going to be a thing, Jared. Let's just not concede, and we'll give ourselves a chance.
Yeah, isn't there a
Especially
break
if
in the playoffs too because of the FIFA window as well?
This is the other problem, right? This is why the never-ending season works, because we go back to what we used to have, which is starting the playoffs, FIFA international break, resuming the playoffs, and not finishing the MLS season until the second week of December. December 9th will be MLS Cup this year. And I don't know if you remember, but that was the case back in 2019 and before that. And then MLS went, okay, wait a second. we need to get this done because that break is really killing our momentum.
Yeah.
So they went to single
Kansas
elimination.
City broke people.
And they moved the MLS Cup final up ahead of the international break. So now it was in the beginning of November rather than the beginning of December. Now, again, suddenly that's a problem because the playoffs go too fast. Poof, they're over. And I'm like, well, there's really no
Why
good
not start the
compromise
season
here.
earlier?
Well, they have done that. They keep doing that. And now because there aren't as many midweek games, because Apple's not really interested in midweek games, Major League Soccer now is saying, well, we not only are we starting in February, which didn't used to be a thing, but we're also stopping in the middle of the year to play
I got a
league
question
stuff.
for you, Jason. Did MLS cede too much control of their own league to make this deal with Apple?
Well, I mean, I don't think.
I mean, you don't hear other leagues having to make this many changes. Don't get me wrong; they have to always do some things to work with the network, but these are pretty big changes.
I think it's very easy from this perspective, being soccer fans, to get all wrapped up in the idea that Apple is, dictating too much. I mean, certainly they are dictating a lot, but that's, as you said, that's been the case for television and the relationship. I mean, La Liga gets yelled at all the time because they play games at 10 o'clock at night because it's better for the Chinese market, for the East Asian market. I mean, this isn't just an MLS thing, right? This is a
It's
problem
a siesta
all over
culture,
the place.
buddy. It's a siesta culture.
But if you're sitting down for dinner at 10, you want to be watching the game at the same time. That's how that works, right?
That's how tapas are best enjoyed, with the game on in the background.